stood in line for 45 minutes for a Scotch egg out there, and I just had to give up. Do you know what a Scotch egg is, Danilo?
I'm assuming it has something to do with eggs and alcohol.
It's a hard-boiled egg, and it's wrapped in sausage meat and rolled in breadcrumbs, and then they bake it for you.
John, there is a reason why you couldn't get a Scotch egg at the Ithaca Festival.
Yeah, so the line was too long. Actually, I'm paraphrasing a story told to me by Leon Arguela. He just stood in line somewhere for a burger. He paid for it. He waited, and he had to give up.
Wow.
So...
Troubling times.
I think they were getting some sort of denial of service attack or something on the actual burger stand. Yeah, welcome to Time Spent Listening.
Reminds me of Soviet Union, where when you just saw a line, you stood in it.
Yeah, it's like whatever they're
giving.
It is May 25th, and we're still playing.
May 25th.
It's not. What is it? The 29th?
29th.
Yeah, it's later than the 25th.
Hey, how come she's not on?
It's the 30th.
Her mic's not on.
Is her thing not on?
It's on.
It's reading here.
Everything's in my ears.
Yeah,
it's just quiet.
Turn it up.
Bring it up.
Quiet.
Bring it up.
How's that?
Is that better?
That's better.
You guys a sound check?
Check.
Turn it up more. Give her
Sound
more.
check,
Are you
sound
turning up
check.
the right channel for her?
Yes.
I'm talking right into the mic.
But look how loud it is, and this is all the way up.
That's what I'm saying. It's bizarro.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to use that term. I find it
as long
offensive.
as you can hear me.
We can hear you. We're still playing Dungeons and Dragons here on Time Spent Listening. For new listeners or just any listener, I would like to. I meant to remind everyone on a weekly basis that Danila and myself, or Danila and I, or myself and he, are not players. We've never played Dungeons and Dragons before. We're neophytes. We're learning as we go. I think that's important to the whole setup of this. You know what I mean? Because otherwise, people, what is this guy's problem? Chris and Andy, who are joining us, are seasoned veterans, and so they have no excuse.
Decorated veterans.
Do you guys have any...
Although, in the interest of full disclosure, Danila, didn't you at some point correct me, and tell me that at some point in your youth you did roleplay some?
Oh,
I did.
Shameful.
It's true, I did.
He was lying.
But all my memories from that incident have been wiped. I mean, it's been so long that I honestly can't remember.
And I also have plenty of I have an understanding of role-playing games just from pop osmosis.
Right.
I'll admit, it's not like I'm...
You've never done Dungeons & Dragons, but you've done live-action role-playing a lot.
I wish I had.
I mean, I've seen your basement. You've got a lot of outfits, John.
It's true. It's like
it's a
you go through my basement, all these out, and there's like purses with like ladies' IDs in them and stuff. It's like, well, that's weird. I guess he's just a method actor. He insists on having everyone's personal effects.
It's not fantasy LARPing. It's just dressing up.
I think he just mugged a bunch of people and
many suits of studded leather armor.
Yeah. So anyway, where are we at? Go ahead, dump out your hoard of dye.
So for listeners who are just hearing this for the first time, we're doing this project where we're playing a Dungeons and Dragons campaign on the air. We're about 8 weeks in or 9 weeks in, and every week we learn something new about ourselves.
That's right. I forgot about that part.
You learned something new about yourself last week?
Many things.
Yeah.
Interesting.
There was that whole discussion of harpies.
Harpies, that's right. So in last week's episode, we finished a battle with some flying winged harpies. Then we continued on our trek into the blasted plains, and we saw this giant owl pellet that looked like, like a giant owl had hocked up and had multiple. What did it say?
Chris described it as 3 cows' worths of bones, which is the unit of bones.
Which is about a ton.
Well, not a ton of bones, but a ton of cow.
A ton of cow, yeah. But cows are, 30% bone, so that's a lot of bone.
I don't know. Probably this isn't our area of expertise.
We're not bovine specialists here. But, and then we camped at night by a lake, and...
Something ate one of our mules.
Yeah, something ate one of our mules, and we couldn't figure out what it was.
We tried to bait it out with some squirrel meat, which I suppose is just ruined now, like it was lying in lake mud.
Oh, it's gone. No, it was gone in the morning.
Oh, right. Something ate it.
It was gone in the morning. So, when the mule first disappeared, you guys didn't see anything take it per se. There was the possibility that it was a monster. There was also the possibility that the shore had just given way.
Yeah, I don't buy that.
Invisible lake monster.
You guys pretty much operated on the assumption it was a monster, and the next morning you were rewarded with a littering of stripped bones floating on the shoreline.
Rewarded?
So you were correct.
We were coping with it, you know? Like, I was coping with that. That was upsetting.
And that poor dead squirrel.
Right.
Somehow I think the monster in the lake is...
Would you say it was about a mule's worth of bones? I'm sorry.
Yes, it would be about a mule's worth of bones.
Yeah. I'd say the
Plus a
monster in the
little
lake is...
Actually, about point. I'd say
A cow's
about
worth is metric.
0.79 mule.
Mule is
7
imperial.
mule.
All right, let's get down to business here. Danilo, you don't get to say what you wanted to say.
I'm done. I'm not even going to try.
So, equipment is repacked. Some of the mule feed that... The mules are given an extra feeding before you take off in the morning because they're going to otherwise have to leave more mule feed behind.
Right.
But they're able to minimize the amount of mule feed they have to dump.
What's that extra mule tier going to do now? I say we leave him behind, too.
Well, you still have 7 mules and Mufi that the mule tier is in charge of.
Oh, there was one mule tier for all those. I figured
Yes.
there was a guy for each mule.
No.
We have a guy for our mule.
Yes, you have a guy for your mule.
Well, what did you want to do? Throw him in the lake?
I don't know. So we're back on the road again?
Yep, you guys get off to a somewhat later than you intended start, partially because people were worried and partially because you needed to restructure your equipment.
We were up half the night, too.
So,
Who's our cook, by the way? Do we have a cook list?
Well, Russ prepares
Russ.
our food.
Okay.
yeah, most of the food didn't require cooking, in part because you guys couldn't pack that much firewood with you.
Right.
And there are trees here and there out here, but they're not so frequent that collecting firewood is a trivial task.
Right.
So
We're going to be pretty sick of Pop-Tarts after this trip is over.
you're going to be sick of a lot of the food that you've got before the trip is over.
Ever want to see another chestnut?
Not me. I love him.
But the trees, they're just kind of creepy.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's continue on the quest.
So, along the day, you guys are crossing the trail. Like I said before, it's gradually getting a little less... The landscape is gradually a little less healthy looking as you travel, but it's a very slow thing. It's sort of noticeable, but not entirely consistent. You do, over the course of day 4, Newallen does note that you guys have passed out of the area that he knows well.
Oh, okay.
Up until this point, he was sort of a backup guide. Past here, he's been to a few places out this far, but he really doesn't necessarily know his way. So it's good that you guys have a map.
Right.
That day goes uneventfully, unless any of you have any particular things that you want to do while you're on the trail.
No.
I'm getting a general negative on that.
Pumping weights, obviously. Like,
Well,
as
of
I'm
course.
going. Just bags of straw. Not straw, bags of oats. on
Well,
my
you
shoulders.
guys...
You can carry our feed.
You guys do all have slightly heavier loads now because some of the equipment has been rebalanced into everyone's backpacks to
Makes
make up
sense.
for the absence of the mules.
Right.
But not more than any of you can carry, just annoying amounts.
I mean, my strength is 7, so...
Yeah, well,
I'm strong.
Yeah.
you're probably going
Toes.
to ache a bit at the bit when you bed down for the night, but it's not going to be... It'll just be a healthy burn.
Your little leather slippers
It'll just
aren't
be
holding
my
up
heart.
to the weight, you know? Your little...
Yeah.
Are they curly on the ends, your shoes? I wonder. You're a wizard, right?
That doesn't seem very practical.
No, usually that was done specifically to be impractical.
I don't know why, though.
I'm guessing, is that you're an elf, so like you've just got a little piece of leather that's folded elegantly. That's your your
Little
footwear.
origami shoes.
Little origami shoes.
Yes, but elven stuff tends to be both insanely, stupidly elegant and pretty, and to be functional.
Right.
So
I'm wearing Vibram Five Fingers shoes. In this universe, there's no class action lawsuit. Anyway, continue.
halflings love them. Anyway, so the fourth day on the road is uneventful, except for going in where no one has gone before, so to speak. Ooh. Night 4, you guys bed down mid-hills. It's a normal shift that night. Excuse me.
Hidden dice roll.
What's everyone's not spot? Listen. What's everyone's listen checks?
Yeah, I have a +0.
I have a
plus 2.
+0 as well.
Yeah,
Wisdom of 11.
+2. I got the biggest ears.
Okay, so +0, +0,
+2.
+2.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. You guys don't hear anything on your shift.
Okay.
You guys get a nice restful sleep. Wake up the next morning to a bright, sunshiny day. Everything
Can I just
is
ask
lovely.
a procedural question? Why didn't you want us to see the dice? You're just hiding the dice for the first time.
Secret roll.
It's not the first time that I did that. I've done it a few other times. You may not have
okay.
noticed. But actually, the point of that is in part that you do notice. This is a standard thing done in Dungeons & Dragons and other role-playing games. You see, if you are checking for traps, say, if you're checking for traps, then if you see the result of the roll and know that it was a success, then if you find no traps, then you know what that means. But if you see the results of the roll and you know that it's a failure,
Right. Expect something to be there.
then if I tell you that there's no trap,
Very
you're
interesting.
going to be convinced that there's a trap.
He's explaining
Yeah.
a hidden roll, which
I've been here the whole time. I don't know why you're explaining to me again.
Yeah, he didn't leave the booth at all.
I'm sorry.
And the other reason to do it is just to freak out your players.
Okay, understood. I mean,
Because if I ask everyone, gosh, what's your listen roll? Then everyone at the table knows that there was something there for them to hear, even if everyone failed their check.
right.
Or not.
But you
If
were
the
like
GM
really
just wants to build
obviously did it.
suspense.
Like, but I mean, never mind. I get it. I get it. You're trying to freak us out.
So,
Well done.
To do an inappropriate
I had to
thing,
get
but
up to
since
change
this
my
is-
underwear.
Since this is your first time, I will just tell you, that was BS.
Okay.
There was nothing there for you to hear that night.
All right, fine.
That's pretty standard. But you never know.
it could have been the Howling Wind,
The next time I don't let you know if it's BS or
the
not.
Howling Wolf record.
Dire Straits.
They're straight. Yeah.
You hear harpies. You don't know why. There's no harpies.
Yeah. I guess that would happen if you really listened.
But there's
poorly.
a limited supply of soundtracks.
Yeah, there really are. Well, I guess I could have been. I can do the fire. I guess that makes more sense. But nothing's going to happen tonight, right?
Yeah.
All right.
We
So it's
slept
a-
right
if
through
bright
the night.
sun-
If you have sort
sunshiny
of a
morning.
eerie whipping wind sound, that might be generally good for the
This is what we use for that.
region.
This
Okay.
is like our.
Just harpies
This
in
is
the
our regional
distance.
soundtrack.
Just distant screams.
Yeah.
So, on day 5, you wake up. It's a bright, wonderful day. Everything's going great.
We've had good weather for this.
Until about 11 a.m., Mule breaks its leg.
Okay.
Oh dear.
Not our mule.
No, not Moofy. One of the other mules. There's a crack in the ground. Every once in a while you've been noticing, especially as you've been going further west, that there are some, cracks, rent sections of the earth. sort of like you would see in dramatic earthquake footage. Only they tend to be kind of random here and there. Most of them aren't very deep. This one wasn't noticed until the mule got its leg caught in it, and there was this audible crack even from like 15 feet away.
Nice.
Fortunately, you guys do have a cleric with you, and healing magic is not limited to humans.
Oh,
Makes
that's
sense.
no big deal.
Well, it does hold you up for about 45 minutes because someone has to set the break before the healing magic can be done, otherwise it might not heal cleanly.
Ugh.
It's really
Maybe we should
unpleasant.
have somebody cast sleep on the mule.
Unfortunately, nobody's really prepared to do that at the moment. Actually, let me double check. That's a good point, and I should double check to see if Lord Larian can do that. Being that he is a sorcerer and doesn't have to choose his spells ahead of time. And
I could recite a poem to calm the mule down.
Yeah. Nice.
well, there's nothing that Lord Larian can do about
Is there
it.
any problem your poetry can't solve?
Do you want to? So, what is there a specific spell that you had in mind?
No. I could daze the mule. I have daze. Could try that.
Yeah.
Daze would just shut up the mule for about 6 to 10 seconds while it's sort of stupefied. Daze would be sort of like
Hey,
a
I have.
momentary amazing confusion, and after that the mule might actually be more hysteric.
I have open close. Could I use that on the mule's mouth or airways?
No, that's
dancing
something
lights?
that every edition of Dungeons and Dragons, I believe, has had in the errata. You cannot use open, close, knock, mage door, or other things that are about opening and closing portals on any orifice on a living creature.
That's what I learned this week. That's how I grew as a person. I can't use magic to close an animal's orifice. I do have dancing lights. Let's just get on with this. Who cares? We don't actually have to listen to the mule. I'm not like, it's
Well, I
mule.
guess the fear is that, it'll alert something in the area.
Bring it on, right? That's what you'd say. That's what Crag would say. Not me. But
So,
I have magic missile. I can always use that on the mule.
you guys, so basically you guys are standing on alert
Yeah.
just in case something comes in response to the...
I mean, we have 45 minutes here. While we're doing that, can I explore one of these fissures? See if I can learn anything about it?
Now you're
none of the
talking.
fissures that you're seeing here are
Is it
large
look-
enough for a person to fit down.
Little fissures.
Little fissures.
Just enough to catch a hoof.
Yeah.
Oh, I could send my snake down.
You
I don't
could.
think...
Do
I
you
don't-
want to?
Not really, no. I don't. I think it's too dangerous for snake, and I think there's probably not much to be gained.
Right.
Actually,
There
this
might be
is
something under there.
this is a fair time for Crag to give me a bardic knowledge check.
Bardic knowledge. So, let's see. I rolled an 18. Which
Nice.
is good, and I'm not sure what my bonus is for bardic knowledge.
I believe it's in it +2, or go to the bardic knowledge.
Yeah, +2, so I got a 20. Mm-hmm. Boom.
So you got a 20.
That's out of 20 listeners, if you don't know. We're rolling these little dice that have 20 sides on them.
Well, it could be out of 22 if you get a +2.
That's true.
But still, that's
But
a
usually
good
the
roll.
thresholds for levels of success are at levels of 5. So, 20 is about as good as you were going to do. Actually, if you'd rolled a natural 20, I would have had you roll to see if you got a critical success, but... So, I'm going to give you a little bit of information about the Ruined Hills. It's trivia time.
Cool.
This is stuff that you could share with the others while you guys are journeying. Although, if you shared all of this with them as you went along, you'd be one of those annoying tour guide type people as you travel. Mm-hmm. That's like, and to your left, we see this. But, so,
My father did that for a living.
Shut up, Craig.
Just kidding.
Well, of course, I would do it in epic form. Be like, and if you look to your left with all your heft, you will see that there is a tree.
Nice. Pretty good. Off the dome there.
So there are a variety of fortresses and dungeons and strongholds in the history of the Ruined Hills. The Ruined Hills is sort of like, I guess you could say that it's like a cross-section of the history of the world. Basically, until the last great empire to the west was cataclysmically destroyed, everyone sort of built up into the hills because they bordered the Great Woods. The trackless forest is, the elves, like your character, know that the trackless forest is one of the most intensely magical and lively places on the planet. So it's natural that people built up near it, but you can't build into it, as the dwarves know, because the trees don't tolerate that well. So
it's kind of like a green desert, It's like the Sahara. Can't build out there.
Right, yeah, it just shifts.
Yeah.
The trees shift.
here we go. So a bit of the history for the region and stuff at large, because you did well enough. So the year 0 is 315 years ago. It starts with the reign of King Unicate of Kham. The king of Kham. Kham was founded on the rise of the Common Table, sort of a Knights of the Round Table situation. So 6,175 before the founding, the Lords of the Known Realms ejected the Empire of Anodado. Then later, the Age of Lords unified into the Age of High Kings. The Age of High Kings shifts into the Omnimantic Age, which is somewhat noteworthy because their magic was so powerful and so pervasive that it was like almost to a science fiction level of sophistication.
Okay.
But through magic. But for whatever reason, they didn't handle things well, and magic suddenly failed them worldwide. All magic just stopped for a lengthy period of time. That was known as the Age of Empty Wands. Most of their great structures and great devices didn't survive the failing of magic, but some still existed through it and then started to function again when magic returned.
Wizards of the Coast went bankrupt. It was a terrible
exactly.
tragedy.
Dear.
Then after that, the Age of Many Crowns came the Age of Falling Thrones, then the unification of the Empire of Kahalis, and then the Great Western Devastation. Something like 1900 years ago. The Great Western Devastation just
It's when all the
blasted.
Olive Gardens closed. I'm sorry. I just get through it. I'm sorry.
It just blasted everything west of these hills completely away.
Right.
And it was the vast bulk of the known world at the time was to the west of here. And it was just destroyed.
And that's what we're walking through now.
No, you're walking through the area that was partially shielded by the hills. To the east of that area. This is the area that's sort of sandwiched between the forest and
I see.
the devastation, the blasted plains. So, this region is famous for ruins and lost cities. A lot of stuff is underground. So these cracks can lead into long-lost treasure troves.
This sounds like a
But
job for the 10-foot pole.
As a broken region, they could also just lead to a cave-in that will kill you.
Yeah. Snake.
Most people prefer to either do a careful excavation down or to go in noticeable actual entrances rather than try to shimmy down a crack.
Right.
As I say, 10-foot pole.
But if you wanted to send your snake down, you might find something priceless that would be worth an excavation, or you might lose your familiar,
I don't want to do that.
or just find nothing.
Boo, 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 boo. What do you think I should do, Turla?
I think we should put the pole down
I know
there.
you want to jam the pole in there. What's that
What?
going to get us?
We can see how far down it goes.
It's true, I suppose. All right, let's jam our 10-foot pole in that fissure.
Then widen
Okay.
it with my axe.
You widen the pole or the fissure?
fissure.
Too late. You already said it. You widened the pole.
That isn't that what I said. I widened the fissure with my axe.
The fissure is sort of solid stone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I
Well,
thought it was kind of
Wouldn't
sandy.
be able to do that.
So-
Yeah, I was
No,
picturing
no.
like dirt.
This is a fairly barren section. It's an actual like rift in the earth.
Well, is there enough room to stick the pole down?
Are you missing a paper? Or
I was our equipment sheet. Like,
Ah.
I was trying to remember what other stuff we had. You know, that we had in common.
We had a lot of rope.
Yeah, we had a bunch
We
of
have
rope.
Don't we have mining equipment?
Listen, Turla's not going to be
some
happy
light,
unless we
like picks.
we
yes.
stick that pole down there and see what's happening.
Give it a swirl.
So, Crag, grab the pole. Go for it.
Oh, I'd love to grab the
Actually, the strong Turla should do it. She's the strong one. Plus,
I'll
she's
grab
the
the
one.
pole.
She's all over it.
pole. Yeah. I mean, the problem with us is we're pretty short. I'm only 4'2". The 10-foot pole is hard for me to manage.
No, you're a big, strong bard.
I'm only 4'2", but I'm strong.
Yeah.
Won't
Go
be a
for it.
Why
problem.
don't you do this?
Oh, you're both the same height.
It's adorable.
We see beard
Like
to
salt
beard.
and pepper shakers.
And together you're not quite 2
All right,
feet long.
see what's down there. See what you can feel.
I'll see if I can stick the pole down the hole.
You want to put a
Okay.
put a light on there or something, or like a torch?
The
Can you
first
look
thing
down?
I want to do is just see if it
Okay.
touches
Goes
bottom.
anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. About 4 feet down, it hits something. Now you could probably twist and try to lever it a little bit and just move it in further. It's not an even crack.
Right.
Well, I'll see
So-
how far down I can manage to get it to go.
Okay. So
Carefully.
I bet all the other guys in the party think we're pretty cool right now.
She's gonna drop that pole and it's gonna go down to never.
Like,
We're gonna lose that pole.
We might lose our 10-foot pole, but
oh no.
that wouldn't be much of a tragedy.
Give me a dexterity check.
Okay.
A bony hand grabs the pole.
I rolled a 15.
It was a 15, yeah.
It was a 15, then it fell off the book and stayed a 15.
Yep.
So
And I have a +1.
15 was what I was figuring as a good cutoff point for having no difficulties whatsoever.
Oh, good.
If you'd just gotten a little less than that, you could have had some problems, and less than a 10, and you would have dropped it down the hole. But basically, you're able to get it down about 9.5 feet.
Wow.
You're pretty sure that there's no way to get any further, and even if you could figure out a way to get down any further, you'd have to start sticking your arm down there, and
yeah, I know.
Can my snake see in the dark?
So I believe there's a cavern down here.
Yeah, it has probably the same abilities you do. Low light. So you're saying when you 9.5 feet down, you hit the bottom, or you just can't.
Can I cast shield? Can I cast
it's
shield?
not so
on my
much hitting
snake?
bottom, it's hitting like a point where where the crack is moving laterally
I see.
Right.
enough so that you can't stick the pole down any further.
Can I cast shield on my snake?
I
Is that
can't
just for
specifically
humanoids?
recall, but I think that you are a high enough level that you can that you can cast spells on your familiar that you would normally cast on yourself. I may be mistaken on that, but Andy, can you find that quick in the familiar section? Should be
Looking.
under sorcerer.
How's the mule doing, by the way, for all this?
They're healing it up. It seems to be freaking out less. You guys have taken a while doing this, and you're also trying to stand reasonably alert in case something comes and attacks you guys.
All right, the snake's going down the crack. We're doing it.
You're
I'd like to cast shield on it if I can, or that might even be a waste. I have a feeling.
The snake will be all right.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'll send the snake down. Whoa. There goes our console.
So, And I'm going to rule that the snake... Normally familiars will lend their extra abilities of perception to their master.
Right.
In this case, I don't believe snake usually have low light vision, but you do, so I'm going to say it goes both ways.
Right, yeah, because I'm going to get hurt if this thing gets... I mean, yeah, we got a
So
two-way street.
it can-
Besides which, snakes live in some pretty dark places.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did have that kind of ability anyway.
Yes, level 1 familiars have alertness, improved evasion, share spells, and an empathic link.
Share
So you can-
spells.
So you could cast shield on it, and it can also psychically communicate with you.
I don't know
Well,
if
I
it's
believe
worth...
that's not full-on communication. That's a general sense of status and well-being, isn't it?
Empathic, yeah, it's not telepathic.
Yeah.
We've
So-
all seen Star Trek: The Next Generation.
So, since this was sort of...
So much rage.
This was sort of one of those window dressing items that I recognize that you guys might spend a while on. I haven't actually figured out how
Oh.
good or bad this is going to be.
Actually, empathic link says the master has an empathic link with the familiar out to a distance of up to 1 mile. The master cannot see
Wow.
through the familiar's eyes, but the two of them can communicate telepathically.
Okay.
Note that the low intelligence of a low-level master's
Right.
familiar limits what it is able to communicate or understand, and even intelligent familiars see the world differently from humans.
He's just a dumb
You're
snake.
just gonna hear.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to roll a d20 to see how good or bad of an idea this actually was for you guys.
All right.
And I am going to cover this up because it'll be funnier if you don't know. Okay. So. What am I looking for?
Oh, we just wanted to look around down there. A humanoid, or some evidence of man-made structures or objects. Don't do that voice the whole time, Chris. I don't think I can take it.
I'm just going to do that when your familiar is talking.
Okay, good.
Your familiar won't talk that often.
All right.
It's a snake.
It's a snake, dummy.
Stonework.
So, too bad the dwarf can't get down there.
Stonework.
I do have a masonry craft. I could rebuild that stonework, guys.
No, but don't you also have an innate understanding of stonework as a dwarf?
Yes, we do. We have stone cunning.
Boy. Well, it's not like we can excavate, really. I mean, I don't think Tola Aram is gonna,
If I go any further, I won't be able to climb back up.
All right, come back up. Come on back up, snake.
At the very least, we know this is there for later.
Well, there's fissures all over the place, right?
Yeah, how will we know this fissure from any other fissure?
Yeah.
Make a note of the landscape.
Why are you calling it snake? Isn't it Bucephalus?
Oh, that's right. I named it Bucephalus. I forgot. I should write that down. Thanks for remembering.
Stonework, eh? I guess we should. I'd like to mention that to Tola Aram. Say,
Definitely.
hey, we sent our Bucephalus, friendly
Yeah.
snake, down the hole.
Let's tell the boss. Yeah.
it
What does he
says-
say to that?
Says there's stonework down there.
Yeah.
We should leave some kind of
Yeah.
subtle marking.
Yeah. I'll just
And-
put a
I
And
pen.
believe
this
it's a
on the-
cavern.
Would a cavern have stonework?
I believe it's a dwarf-made cavern.
Turtle's not the.
Don't pay attention to her. She's
Yeah, don't.
She's a little.
She's drunk.
Let me apologize for
I
her.
think
She's
that's
a
the
little
wrong
slow.
word in Camise. It's
All right. Anyway, can we rig up some sort of? Why don't we put like a mule's leg here or something as a marker?
break off a mule leg
let's
and
leave it
grow
there.
a new one.
Let's leave a dead mule here so we can. Is the mule back in
The
one
mule's
piece?
fine now.
All right.
What about
good.
some bones? Did we take some? We didn't take any bones with us, right?
You guys took some feathers.
Feathers, yeah.
Why don't we just
You guys didn't collect the bones
Break
off the lake
something.
shore
No,
or anything.
no.
We
There's
could
stone
leave our
and stuff,
10-foot
right?
pole stuck in the thing with a feather on the end or something.
Well, he's suggesting... Tol Aram suggests that you try to do something a little bit more subtle.
How about just some markings on the rock?
That would be good.
yeah, okay.
Some
We can scratch some dwarven runes.
Yeah. Sounds good.
warning
I will
dwarven
mark
runes
the
below.
spot.
He takes a while making a careful drawing of the immediate surroundings so that
Okay. Good for him.
you guys can know when you're here instead of having to be immediately on top of the fissure.
By the way, the
down the
professional
rock.
adventurers all just stood around with their thumbs up their in their armor or whatever.
Yeah, making sure you guys don't all get ambushed by harpies again.
Whatever.
Pasha.
So, the rest of that day goes pretty uneventfully.
We didn't get ambushed, by the way, last time because Charla heard them from so far away.
Yep.
It's true.
So that night, you're mid-hills again. Sort of the upper sort of plateau level of the hills. You are lakeside that night. Another lake.
Keep away.
There is a very careful, almost paranoid process of filling water barrels
Oh yeah.
that night because, it's important to have the water, but you don't want to lose anybody.
Right.
And also there's a collection of forage, but again, it's very carefully guarded with like one person collecting and two people watching for trouble.
Right. We volunteer Russ for any danger duties. Anything. Like he can go get the water. Just kidding. Russ
Yes,
is
sir.
precious to us. But
No, sir, I can do it. Not a problem.
Good boy.
Thank you, sir. That night, you guys, as a large group, you are very careful when you're setting up guards because, well, you're by a lakeside again, and the last time that didn't work out so great. But again, no problems, and there's not even the heavy sloshing in the water that you heard at the last lake.
okay.
Day 6, you continue along. Again, not that eventful, but you do see some cracks in the earth here and there. About maybe 5 o'clock, about 7 o'clock was about the time you guys were planning on setting up camp, or going to reach the point that camp was intended. About 5 o'clock, you guys do see a hill that has a huge crack in the side of it. Like a pinata for Godzilla. It is just
Right.
this huge, like... At its widest point, you think that it's maybe 18 feet across. And the long way, it's maybe 35 or 40 feet long. Just going down into the side of this mountain like the... not mountain, but this large hill. Like it was not necessarily hollow inside, but like there was something hollow down underneath it.
Gotcha. Well, are we stopping here for the night?
Nope, you're not stopping there for the night.
Nobody wants to stop. This
Can
isn't
we
where
stop
we're
and
going.
investigate?
Tola's not interested.
Tola turns to everyone else. He's mainly asking the seasoned adventurers, not you guys.
Whatever.
Should we investigate this or just mark it on the map and keep moving?
Well, what do all the seasoned adventurers say?
How far have we come from the other crack that we found at the caverns?
About 24 hours?
More than 24 hours.
It's been 2 days, right?
days. Hey, what-
like a day and a half.
What do you call a dwarf that starts to pull down these fissures and looks for stuff? Fisherman?
Crag?
Fisherman?
Turla.
I don't know.
Not so good.
Yes. Roll your charisma.
Yeah, it's-
If you want, you can, to try and make the joke go over well.
no, my charisma's not so good.
We
I think
determined
that's
you're playing Fuzzy Bear, right? That's about right.
Wham.
He's deep in character right now.
Waka waka.
What's the consensus amongst the rest of the adventuring party?
So, Torum, who's basically the most experienced person in the party, is like, well, I think that we should probably keep moving and put at least a couple of hours between us and this hole, because there's a good chance that something on a scale appropriate to that hole lives down that hole.
Whatever.
That is a good point.
We could quit right now and just, do our own thing. Just go into that crack. Let's not. We'll keep
Let's
going.
not.
I would let you.
Yeah.
No,
All right.
it's okay.
Are we
So-
getting close? Oh, he said 4 days, right?
No, he said that it would be
It was.
6 to 8 days, I believe he said,
Yeah.
Right.
depending on
That was there
how
and
accurate
back.
the map was and if you guys followed the map correctly. Which, given that this is broadly uncharted,
Right.
is an open question. But
We're doing
So-
okay so far, except for the delays.
well, he's slightly concerned, and you hear him talking to a few other people, but they don't think it's that big of a deal. Tola is slightly concerned that something like that probably should have shown up on the map
Right.
if they'd passed to this side of it.
Right.
If they'd passed on the other side of it, which is not, it's like they
Right.
could have been
Half
like
a
a
mile.
third of a mile
Yeah.
away and not seen that crack.
Sure.
But
But a good map would have it on there.
so
Regardless.
Unless
Let's go
it's
back to
new.
town and get into the map making business.
Yeah.
that night, night 6, you are actually, about an hour after you see the uncharted crack in the side of the hill, you guys get to a hillside, and you start moving alongside the hill. Down the hill, there is a plain ahead of you, that to the north, that is just, and this reassures them that they have a decent idea of where they are, because this is a very obvious landmark. So this is the start of the blasted plains.
Oh, okay.
The hills drop off to the blasted plains. The blasted plains continue for maybe another 25 miles. But beyond that, there's another drop off to a very deep valley beyond that. You can't really see it well, but I mean, you can
Like
sort
a
of see it
crater.
near the horizon. Yeah, but it just,
Right.
it's like a crater that is on a vast scale.
Right.
Like 100 miles wide.
Well, like maybe if I dropped some marbles, they would still roll down, to the middle of the crater. Who knows? They don't have more marbles in this universe, so we'll never know.
And you guys keep going along, and as you're traveling, you start hearing this distant sound that's like, think if an entire army of woodwinds and didgeridoos was just playing, not randomly, not chaotically, but just sort of without any specific intention. It sounds kind of like an orchestra warming up. But
An orchestra of didgeridoos.
Yeah.
yes, a didgeridoo orchestra warming up.
Sounds like the camping area at Grassroots Festival.
Vuvuzelas.
Not quite that high or buzzy, but if you guys were unfamiliar with it, you actually, with the level of success that you got regarding the ruined hills, you actually would know what this must be. This would be the City of Winds.
That makes sense.
The greatest remaining artifact of the Great Magical Age. The city itself stopped functioning magically during the Age of Broken Wands, but it started functioning again afterwards. And although since then it really just hasn't been occupied heavily. And once the devastation took place and it was just left sitting in the blasted plains, no one can safely live there for very long. So it's sort of a foreboding place, and many adventurers have gone there. Most of them have died. Some people have come back with some trinkets of value, but not much. The city itself is the real treasure, and you can't just break it apart and carry it out. But it naturally takes the winds and shapes them into a sort of a spell of preservation and powering the city. It's huge magic on like an inconceivably large scale. And you can't see it yet. You must be getting close, but you can't really see it on the horizon. I mean, you think maybe that point off in the horizon might be it, although you're staring into the sunset at this point.
So that sound is like deafening if you're there?
If you're there, it should be deafening, but it's not. It's like it reaches a point of fairly loud, and then as you continue to get closer to it, like a mile off, it's fairly loud, and it doesn't get any louder the closer you get.
Gotcha.
And in the city, apparently, it's silent.
Oh, I see.
That is a strange magic.
You can make noises in the city, but I mean, the sound of the
gotcha.
towers doesn't do anything.
Gotcha.
Interesting. Perhaps I'll write a poem about it one day.
Good thinking. What's
So,
next?
you guys set up camp on the sort of hillside up at the top. And once night falls, you can see this beautiful blue and gold glow from the direction of the sound. The city is on the horizon, pretty much. It's like maybe 8 miles off.
Okay.
But we're talking about a city that is glowing at least as bright as any real-world modern-day city, as seen from a distance. And, light pollution isn't something that your characters are used to in a fantasy realm. This thing is just pumping out enormous amounts of, not electricity, but enormous amounts of light. It's brightly illuminated at night, and, the sound continues through the night. It's not unpleasing, it doesn't disrupt sleep, but it is noticeable.
And we're traveling parallel to that. We're not actually heading toward it, right?
No, you're
That's
not
our
actually going to go
destination.
out into the blasted plain.
Yeah.
It is bad for one's health.
Gotcha.
I fear something's amiss. There seem to be fewer stars than usual.
Oh, right. Light pollution. It's unfortunate.
Actually, in a major magical city, that phenomenon would be something that you probably would have seen, but not to this extent.
Right.
You guys might, if you're near a campfire, you're familiar with light pollution. You can't see the stars if
Not
you're near
to
a
this
campfire,
extent,
but
though.
not to this extent. This is...
The city's all the way over there. This is not a campfire.
Nope. And it's this bright and continuous glow. It's overtly magical. And there's something kind of chilling about it, but it might just be because...
Because there's nobody there.
Yeah, because there's no one there. It's an empty city left on autopilot. And, the general wisdom among adventurers is that at this point it's been gone over enough times. It's not actually worth it to raid the city even. It's just there. So, you guys stay up guarding at night, and, it's hard to not stare at that thing. But it's not like it's magically charming you to stare at it. It's just impressive.
We managed to not stare. Yay.
Yay! So, the next morning, you guys break camp. Partway into the morning, you guys veer south away from the hillside, so you guys don't actually end up traveling past the city. I mean, you still would have only ended up like 2 miles from the city, but you would have gotten a better look if you'd moved along the
Right.
edge. But the directions seem to indicate a veering south. About noonish, maybe 1ish, you guys go past this huge tree. Maybe... Actually, everybody... you guys don't... None of you have woodland lore. Everyone give me an intelligence check to identify the tree.
I rolled a 17.
Rolled a 9 plus 1.
I have
10.
a -2, so that's a 15.
I rolled a 5.
Okay. So Turla is at least able to figure out that this thing used to be an oak.
Ah.
It is covered with tumorous growths.
Dear.
The leaves are sort of black and red. And it's not the season for leaves to be red. It looks like it's still alive, but it's not right. It is maybe 150 feet tall. And if you can imagine an oak tree 150 feet tall, imagine that its diameter is to scale with that.
Oh.
It's a big tree.
Yeah. I don't think we have any oak trees that actually get 150 feet tall under normal circumstances. In this plane, 80, 90 feet. I think that's the... Anyway.
It's a wrong tree.
And it appears to be dying.
Can we climb it? Get a
Well,
look
you
up.
guys are near it on lunch, basically, sort of effectively a lunch break. It's shade, and it's a fairly warm summer.
Yeah.
I believe that this is an oak.
Could we try climbing it? Get a look around?
I'm going to, before going anywhere close to it, make sure it's not about to drop any acorns.
Oh, right. Yeah. Could be the same as the chestnuts.
I'd like to climb up and look at the
Yeah.
city.
Be nice to look around, right? What could go wrong?
You're not sure you would, at this point, that you would actually be able to see the city any better from here.
Okay.
But
You could see other things.
Is it easy
though.
to climb, or does it have any low branches? Hop up on?
I have climb and
it
rope
doesn't
use.
have low branches, but the sides of it are so uneven with these huge growths that there are many handholds.
Just be worried there's a big rock
So
in
how
there.
far
some
up is the
eagle.
nearest branch?
The nearest branch is... I'd say the nearest branch is at least 45 feet up.
Too far to throw a rope over then.
Oh yeah, it's... This thing is just... The scale
Does it
of it
have
is
acorns?
disturbing.
Because that really is a concern.
You can't see any from the ground.
And there aren't any on the ground.
No, there are no acorns on the ground.
Okay. Well, then we probably don't have to worry
There are
about
no
having
other-
them dropped on our head. That's good.
There are no other plants or animals growing near the tree either.
I'm not sure we want to touch it.
Well, I mean, its shade is enough to thwart other plants.
Well, right. I'm going to make sure that I'm wearing gloves. This
okay.
tree looks wrong, and I don't want to get poisoned.
That's smart, I guess.
So, who's going to try climbing the tree first?
Sounds like Tarla.
I'll try climbing
She's
it.
gung ho.
Okay.
I have climb, even. And rope use once I get up higher, perhaps.
Give me a spot check.
A spot check?
Just letting you know
What
what
ab-
details you see first.
Well, what about me?
Oh, dear.
Can
I
I
don't
do a
see
spot
a
check
thing.
too? I'm standing there.
Yeah, you're standing right there
Yeah.
at the bottom. Both of you.
I
We all
spot
take a
checks.
look.
rolled a
18.
1.
I rolled a 14, and
Somebody
that's
else is gonna
plus
have to
2.
fill me in.
And
16.
how much do you get on... What bonus do you get on spot, Danila?
0, just 18.
You're rolling hot tonight.
Okay,
I
and what's
did
Turla's modifier on spot?
0.
Okay.
Plus nothing.
by
Minus
the way,
nothing either, though. Thank goodness.
Give me a second roll because you rolled a 1.
Yeah. 19. That's a little better.
That would be a success, so
No
you
fumble.
do not fumble.
Thank goodness. I just don't see anything of interest. I suppose.
So, Leodore, and
Yes?
we'll be wrapping up in just a moment for this week, but Leodore does see that there seems to be sort of this dark red sap in spots. It seems to be running mainly out of some of the larger lumps on the tree.
Ew. It has bloody tumors, huh?
I wonder if it's like maple syrup. You can make candy out of it.
Taste it, Craig.
Oaks don't give maple.
Oh, you don't see anything. Go ahead, Turla. Give me a climbing check.
Yeah, actually, I'm gonna holler out to her. What I'm gonna be like, there's some red sap I would avoid coming out of those warts.
Thank you.
Yeah.
9 plus 3. Oh, wait. Yeah, 9 plus 3.
Okay, that's a 12.
12, and my strength is 15, if that makes a difference.
You end up climbing about 12, 13 feet up, and you end up putting your gloved hand through one of the through the side of one of the lumps on the side of the tree, and it's this red goo.
Ugh.
And
Traction for climbing, right?
give me a spot check again.
2.
Yay!
I didn't
There's just
fail.
red goo. It's harmless.
Okay.
You keep climbing. You just shake it off your glove and you keep climbing. Give me another climb check.
Oh, dear. That wasn't my roll.
That's fair enough.
16.
Okay, she's a climbing machine. She's up, I'd say, 40 feet, and that's where I think I'm going to call it for right now.
I don't have anything like levitate.
I'm
so-
hoping that I could have carried a rope up to throw down.
What? So we can climb up there?
If you want.
That's
Or so she
optimistic.
could
Tie to
climb
the
in.
top branch.
You should tie yourself
So,
off.
Andrea,
You can be up
just-
there for a week.
just checking with you. I know that you didn't say that you were going to do that.
didn't.
Did you, in all honesty, specifically intend to say that, or is that something you just thought of that you...
It's unfortunately something I just thought of. I was thinking about taking a rope up there, getting a rope up there, but originally I was thinking of it from the ground.
Okay.
We're going to have to call it there, guys.
Yep.
We'll see you next week
Thanks for listening. This
some
is
more time spent listening.
Time spent listening, Dungeons and Dragons edition.
Do the whole
Right here on WRFI Community Radio for Watkins Glen. We are WRFI Watkins Glen, Ithaca.
Up next is Conference of the Birds.